Right?
Yep.
Where's the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to our town board meeting. Sorry we had to move it off of Wednesday night, but I had a conflict last night, and we have quite an agenda I want to get through tonight. So first item of business, approve the minutes of the town board meeting held on May 10th. Motion by Rich.
I'll second.
Second by Brian to approve the minutes of May 10th, subject to correction by the clerk. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, town clerk's report.
May 2023 clerk's report, marriage licenses, $35. Fax and photocopy fees, $20.50. Certified copies, $40. Landfill fees and punch cards, $32,336. Transient merchants and short-term rentals, $2,690. Dog licensing fees, $216. Building permits, $124.75. Septic permits, $45, bringing total local shares remitted of $35,507.25.
Thank you. Supervisor's report on all funds, total monies on hand for the month of May, $4,871,482.01. Assessor's report.
Assessor's report for June. Previous day was for 2013, should be 2023, I think. It was held on Tuesday, the 28th, in the hearing room, Warrensburg Town Hall, from 4 to 8 p.m. Overall, we had one private property owner file up for grievance and 3 filings for cable television company, SLIC Network Solutions. Public notice pamphlets pertaining to the 2024 revaluation project were printed and mailed out a few weeks ago. Property update photos have begun or are expected to continue for the next few months. Final roll scheduled to be published on or about July 1st, 2023.
And they're currently out there doing property pictures. They're taking updated property pictures of all the properties we have. A former assessor, and his name escapes me right now, who's working with us. But if you see him out there, that's what they're doing. They're taking pictures of your property to do an update for your property file.
I believe
And-
his name is Dave Rose.
Dave Rosenbach.
Rosebrook.
Yeah, he used to be assessor, Bolt Landing, and several towns. Justice.
Justice for June. Judge Fisk heard 80 cases, collected fines of $6,780, fees of $140, and $2,728 in surcharges. Judge Ferrello heard 72 cases, collected fines of $5,350, $218 in fees, $2,401 surcharges. Total cases in May were 93. Total dollars received in May, $17,537, and town share for April, $7,920.
ACO report, DCO. I'll do them if you want to. We had a barking dog complaint at the beginning of May. We had a possible neglect case at 15 Sweet Road that was investigated by our ACO, and that was given a verbal warning to get the dog's license. I believe he did. He had to July 1st to do so. Received a call from a constituent about a loose dog running on River Street. Stated that the dog was at 147 River. Upon arrival, I picked up the tan dog and took it to Barks in Rec, which is our boarding facility. The dog was seizure was done on 2/23. That's what it says. So he's not been all that busy. There have been a few dog bites lately that we get notice on, but they're handled internally. And when somebody's dog bites somebody or somebody else's dog bites somebody, they have to be quarantined for 10 days because of the rabies. And but we've been seeing a few dog bites, a few cat scratches. So, but not a lot going on. Planning, Brian?
There were 3 septic and 7 land use and development permits issued the month of May, and the planning board and other zoning board will be having meetings this month due to lack of applications.
Let's see, I don't see Jim here, so I will do Jim. I'm not Jim, but I will read Jim's report. We had materials removed for Third Avenue as requested. 840 Schooner Road is underway. That cleanup's underway. That was a health hazard. That property up there on 840 Schooner Road will all be cleaned, and most of it will be demolished. And the people who lived up there are being moved to other areas to live. Our contractor cleaned up 2 4th Avenue. Warning was sent to 42 Auburn Avenue about rubbish. Adirondack Rural Revitalization Program. That's a 2575 grant. He made up packages for that. On May 8th, he attended the comprehensive plan meeting. 980 Veely Pond installed a separate septic system without getting proper permits. It wasn't installed properly, so they put a stop work order on that. It's not been approved by the town. Stop work order was put on 129 Library Avenue. Had a couple of garbage complaints, 151 River Street. And down on Beswick Drive, we had a couple older mobile homes. They're being removed. The property, we've had those people in the court, and they're being currently demolished and removed from Beswick Drive. And warning was sent to 3772 Main Street to get proper permits. Had a complaint about trees being cut on Mill Avenue. They checked for that, and that was not a code enforcement issue. There seems to be a civil issue with entering and exiting the bond up there from
James Street.
I guess Elm Street to over to James Street.
James, yeah.
I believe that's going to be a civil matter. The residents don't like them going out the back way. It's supposed to be closed off. Told the fire company of any burning permits. Property at 17 Evergreen Street was cleaned up. Investigated several complaints from one individual. They were unfounded. Sent out a notice to owner of 14 Ridge. Warning was sent to 45 Ridge. Notice was sent to 18 Ridge. Basically, they were sent for property maintenance codes. Discussed 3 outstanding code enforcement issues with Tom Peterson, attorney. Issued 2 short-term rental permits. Supplied Green Mansions Homeowners Association for the Hilltop area with requested short-term rental information. He started his grass enforcement, sent out the notices. He sends a warning notice out first. Checked on a complaint on 19 King Street. The property manager was contacted. That's a out-of-state property manager. The house has been left wide open, and I believe the town closed it up. We put it on their folks' taxes. They mowed 3 more properties. He did 3 more this week too. Our property maintenance person received a complaint about regarding 20 Hoffman Drive. He visited property. The yard is fenced in. There's no action taken. Grass violations were sent out to numerous properties, and contractor is now mowing 3885 Main Street, 49 Elm Street, and I think at 93951 Main Street. So we're pretty busy with the codes, and I just want people to know that a lot of times people will call in here, and that's where these complaints originate from, and he goes out and does a good job with that. Also, we've had a home on Lake Avenue that we have the person will be in the court on Lake Avenue to clean up that property. It's a former property near the corner of the lake, and I think it's Hoffman. So that property is going to be cleaned up here very shortly. It was a property that Dan Roberts used to live in. Is that what it is? Like, is that considered Orton?
60 Lake Avenue, which is on my
Yeah.
paperwork.
Yeah. Okay. That's it on code enforcement. Another busy month. Beautification, I'm going to read that. Teresa had a procedure, wouldn't be here tonight. May is leading up to the beginning of June. It is an extremely busy time for beautification with spring cleanup, planting beds, assessing winter damage, pruning of shrubs, planting of annuals and perennials. We also have many events throughout the month leading to the opening of our farmers market the first Friday of June. Here are some of the activities and events that we welcome spring since our last report to town board. The community gardens are opening up. Arbor Day presentation was done. Tree planting was done at Echo Lake. The 25th annual Green Thumb perennial swap was done. Farmers market operator is opening for the 25th season. I know some people came up for the rhubarb festival and they couldn't find any. So they had to get there early to get rhubarb. And then they had a garden tool sharpening clinic. So they've been very, very busy, the beautification committee. So what do you got for highway?
Highway, the month of May, been very busy picking up all the brush and bags of leaves from spring cleanup. They also hauled several loads of material up to Veely Pond and graded and raked that road for summer use. Finished all of our spring sweeping throughout the town. We've helped the towns of Lake George and Bolton with their paving projects and installed new drainage structure at Smith Street. Started milling on the Klondike and will be paving for the next couple weeks.
And the area up there on the hill, Burdick, Catherine, Smith, Summit, Ridge, Stacy, they're all being paved, the whole area up there. As you go across the bridge, up the hill, every bit of the area is being paved. It's probably the first time in a long time. And Peckham they're doing a very good job. And so I think Ed thinks the paving will be done next Wednesday because they have Monday off, or may have Monday off. Lighting, John.
Yep. So Kevin and I met with our Power Authority rep about a month and a half ago, one more time just to get I's and T's dotted and whatnot. Casey came up, sat down with us, and went over, crunched the numbers again, and we're excited. The savings is what we're doing. So I had Casey send over an email to me, and I'll read it, and I'll definitely forward it to the members and town clerk tomorrow morning. This is the synapse of what our savings is going to be to move forward with LED. The savings, LED, streetlight technology, and municipal ownership provide Warrensburg estimated annual energy savings of $27,129. Facility savings of $44,069, totaling $71,198 in annual savings for a project. Digital assets control. This project includes asset control nodes, which provide significant additional savings not calculated in the attached values, as well as control of SL assets. Currently, National Grid provides New York State customers who own streetlight assets a billable dimming tariff, as opposed to the current flat rate billing tariff. This dimmable tariff allows Warrensburg to annually submit a dimming schedule for assets to be billed at actual kilowatt hour rates used, as opposed to dusk to dawn usage at 100% power for each lighting asset. National Power Authority, New York Power Authority will assist Warrensburg in setting up the dimming schedule and submission to National Grid. Asset control also allows for the installation of fixtures at 80% power as opposed to 100% power. No optical difference to the eye, elongating fixture life, as well as allowing Warrensburg to dim either individual fixtures or group of fixtures on any smart device. NYPA will assist Warrensburg in the training of the control node dimming software and use. National Grid facilities charges. Warrensburg currently pays National Grid approximately $47,471 in annual facilities charges, which includes utility maintenance, pass-through charges of asset depreciation. Ownership transfer of these assets facilitate charges reduced to the annual pole lease of $3,402 immediately upon PSC approval of assets transferred to Warrensburg. This is substantial savings. NEPA maintenance, including the LED streetlight project, is a 2-year maintenance agreement for unlimited routine maintenance of streetlight assets, can calculate at $25 per fixture or $12,475 annually. NIPA will have full-time staff dedicated to maintenance of the streetlight assets for customers and will assist Warrensburg with any and all routine, non-routine, emergency maintenance issues that come up during the contract period. So the bottom line, when we sat down with Casey, Kevin and I, is we're budgeting about $107,000 a year for a street light right now with maintenance and energy and whatnot.
How much is that?
About $107,000 we're budgeting right now. We'll be down about $50,000 when we get this transition annually for the cost of ownership of the LEDs. It's quite a savings. So,
It was, I did not fully understand until I sat down and went through a bill with Casey Mastro that will immediately start saving almost $4,000 a month when we make the change. And that's a charge on every one of our bills. And because I couldn't put my arms around paying for this now. So I'm letting John run with it, and I do believe it's going to work. And
it's $47,400 in annual facilities charges, but National Grid leases us their equipment, and
that goes away.
it goes away. It's tremendous. So it's,
I don't want to stand up yet, but I know for the last 2 years, we've been talking about $585,000 to the taxpayers to get this initiated. That was our initial cost.
well, we're not even borrowing money. We're borrowing it from the National New York Power Authority. They're loaning us the money to do this. We don't have to take a bond or anything. It's their New York's money. They're loaning it to us to do this. The payoff is less than
How does it
11
get
years.
paid back?
11 years.
11 years through taxpayers
Through the
for our 47,000
of savings. It's only going to costing us about $50,000 that Kevin could budget instead of $107,000. Budget $50,000 for a whole year to pay off this debt. It's a huge savings.
It's it could be confusing unless I could look at it. And I looked at it and I believe it. So I'm letting John, we're running with it. We're on top of it. We'll be making a change over here pretty quick to all LEDs, and then the fixtures will come down. We'll have all these fixtures. Maybe we'll sell them at the garage sale.
That's free.
Because
Do we have any other small communities like Warrensburg doing this, making this change?
Dozens and
Like,
dozens and dozens of them. I said everybody's
Like Corinth, or how about Chestertown,
No.
Bolton Landing?
not locally, but there's dozens in the state. And I've set spreadsheets to all.
I think they've looked at it. I think the city's done something. City Gonzales.
Queensbury's looking at it real close too.
But
Many
that's a different population from Warrensburg or Chestertown or Bolton Landing or Grant Lake. Very small communities, 5,000.
I don't see you spending $107,000 a year for National Grid when we can do it for 50. That's
For a 2-year contract?
$50,000 a year, every year, for 10 years. Instead of spending $100,000 for 10 years, $1 million.
I don't want to say trust me, but I believe it's going to work.
Yeah.
Our landfill, we had a very good month at the landfill. We're back in the black at the landfill. It's because the revenues were up a lot in the month of May. A lot of spring cleanup being done. And right now we're $831 to the good at the landfill. Obviously, hauling costs have still continued to hurt us. Low recyclable revenue is hurting us. But, it's the right thing to do. And one of these days it will turn around. I don't know when. Historical report. Does somebody want to take it, or I can just bounce it through you real quick? It had a busy month. 50.5 hours were put in at the office. Unfortunately, we had a few people pass away. Pam Whitaker, Jackie Ann Crandall, Herb Dutcher, and Mark Monroe. They all passed away this last month. Is that me? Oh, forget it. Let's see. Parks and Rec.
All right, correct for June. We put down grass seed, pelletized lime, fertilizers on the rec field. Gould's Landscaping started a 2-part pesticides fertilizer treatment on the fields. The grass is starting to come back. We've been busy mowing the other parks and maintaining the ball fields for Little League. We're hoping to start redoing the ball field as soon as the Little League is over. Gentlemen from Premier Paving are back working on tennis courts and pickleball courts. Respectfully, Tracy.
We had a rough spring there. Lost most of our beautiful park through Grubbs. And it's taken us a while to recover, but it is starting to recover. The grass is starting to come back up. This rain, we did fire up the Library Avenue well, which is a well that we don't use for drinking water, but we were able to fire it up to get some water on the grass, and it is making a comeback. It was obviously we cannot put pesticides on the lawn. We couldn't have treated it with Grubex, and apparently our supplier that we thought were going to come last spring or last fall never showed up, and I believe that's why we got hit. But it is making a recovery. Our folks, they don't like it any better than I did, and I just couldn't believe how devastating it was to recreation field. So, and we do it. We can't because we're not licensed. You could put Grubex on your lawn, but our people can't put Grubex on the
There's a
recreation.
person in town that is licensed through New York State that is environmentally friendly for grub control. And that would be Daryl over here on Elm Street that takes care of my property.
If he's the
And
license,
it's all environmentally friendly. And
we'll reach out
it's
to him.
licensed, and I'll talk to him this week.
Yeah, but it's a problem. I could put Grubex on my lawn, but we couldn't put it over there. So it was devastating. The May sewer report.
We're in the middle of turnover at the plant. pH has dropped significantly and sludge is floating to the surface. Sand filters have been having trouble keeping up with the sludge. Sand filter barrel has been cleaned multiple times a day. These are reasons we failed our settable solids test on Sunday, June 4th. Cinegrove has come to rescue and started pumping the sludge from the lagoons. Pump station B called out for high water. Pump 1 had debris inside the pump. We removed the debris from the pump and it was running smoothly. Pump station C called out for high water. We back flushed both pumps. They're running smoothly. We've been installing manhole risers on Bridge Street and other streets after being paid, respectfully, Mark Rumble.
And we started our project of dredging lagoons. We have 4 cells up there, and it should take them a couple 3 months to get it done, but that will increase the use of that sewer system, I would say, for another 20, 30 years by dredging that. And it's a long process. It's an expensive process because you have to take that sludge to a landfill that will take that type of material. And there's not one around here, so we're shipping it out, which we'll get to. We have a change order we're going to talk about a little bit later. But the process is going good, and it's just a slow process, but there's a lot of sludge in those lagoons. It's been operating that way, taking sludge in from 1992. We're very conscious not to violate our speedies permit. And so, and we're also conscious that when you're taking all this sludge out of the landfills, you may create an odor. So we have to pump fresh air into the lagoons while we're doing this. And if they detect an odor, we're gonna make sure it's minimal. So, but it is a good process. I went over and looked at it, and it needed to be done. I can tell you that. So, water.
June's water report. We repaired 2 cross plates, several meters were reinstalled for the season. The water was shut off at a couple of customers' homes so they could do repairs and their water's turned back on. Curb shut off was repaired and a water main valve was fixed on South Street. Annual water quality report has been completed and our water withdrawal permit has been submitted. I've issued water sprinkling restriction due to only having 3 out of 4 wells operating. The new motor is on the back order and should be in by the end of June. Back to Tracy Benoit.
Okay. All right. Youth, we finally have our counselor set for the summer youth program. It will run 4 days a week. It will correspond with the school program. There will be no rain days because we're able to use the school if it does rain. There'll be 4 field trips on Thursday, and our counselors or our director will announce when the field trips are. We want as many children in the town to take advantage of. It's a free program, and we want them to take advantage. It's a good time for them to be outside. The school, we do the arts and crafts program. That's enjoyable for the smaller kids, and but we're we're proud of the program. We want to keep it going, but we want as many kids to take advantage of it this summer as possible. So get your kids signed up whenever and then show up. What is it, the 7th? 6th of July it starts and runs for 6 weeks. So I can't hear you.
Who's gonna be the director?
Mike Perone does the sports program, and Antoinette Fruta does the arts and crafts. So they both do a real good job for us. Communications, the town of Warrensburg was awarded a $50,000 Restore New York Communities Initiative for the demolition of former highway garage to make room for development of senior housing. This is a grant that we put forward to look at the King Street property and try to clear out the old highway garage and try to, our intent is to get a developer to come in and put some senior housing on that lot. We also gave the emergency squad about 10 feet of that lot to expand their building over there to meet their needs in the future. As soon as we dot our i's and cross our t's, we'll put out a RFP for quotes to remove the building.
What could we possibly do with granite? Because it's beautiful granite and it's from the community.
Well, we know,
What could we possibly do?
I know you mentioned it.
Try and sell, try and auction it off.
I was hoping to work with a developer and maybe use it for some
Facade.
elevation changes or things around there, some landscaping around there.
Elevation and stuff, okay.
Yeah, so,
Exactly, for side for senior center.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Very
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
So that was good. That we were, we wanted 80, we got 50. You don't look a gift horse in the mouth. We'll take it and we'll move on with that, and we'll be putting bids out in the near future. We did have the property all surveyed, so we know exactly where our property lines are. And as soon as we do the lot line adjustment, then we'll be putting our lot, stakes in the ground and move forward. And a resolution request from Virginia Ryan to change the name of a private road from Timely Way to I can't pronounce it, Way. But anyways, this young lady resides at 2068 Harrington Hill Road. Apparently this road was supposed to be changed a few years ago, is what she explained to me. I checked with the assessor and I called down to the 911 people, or actually I called our GPS office down there and asked them about that. And they had something on it. It just never got done. I don't think she came in during our tenure here, did she?
I don't remember.
But anyways, she'd like to, so if somebody can make a motion to let that private drive be changed.
So move, Kevin.
Motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Brian to change Timely Way to THMELEA Way.
Still timely, it's a,
Timely, but it's a, what is it, person or
it's a
a plant?
plant.
Plant, timely. Yeah, that's what she told me. I couldn't remember. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried. Okay, we'll get that. We'll get the sign made. Resolution request to add Juneteenth to the list of official holidays for the town. Warren County has added it to the holiday list just recently, and we usually follow the county permission for the supervisor to sign a memorandum of agreement with Highway Union, Warren County Public Works, Employee Union Local 1046B, and the Council 66 of AFNI, AFL-CIO. What we're going to do is add Juneteenth on, we lag behind some of the other places offering it. This is a federal holiday. So I just need permission to add it to our holiday list. So somebody want to make that motion? Rich? Second?
Second.
Second by John. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Had a resolution request from Warrensburg Masonic Lodge 425. They'd like to sell water, soda, and chips at the summer band concerts. I think it's a good idea. It makes a few dollars for them as a not-for-profit. And somebody, motion by John, second by Brian, to allow the Masonic Lodge to sell water, soda, and chips at the band concerts. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay. Resolution requests authorization issuance of $150,000 in serial bonds of the town of Warrensburg to pay the paving costs of town highways and authorizing issuance up to $150,000 of bond anticipated notes for the same purpose. Okay. When we decided to do all the roads up there on the Klondike, it ran a little bit more than what we get for CHIPS funding. So we're taking out $150,000 Banner bond. It depends on how quick we pay it off to complete that paving project. So I need a motion to approve that. John, Brian,
Second it.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. We need to update the intermunicipal agreement between the town of Warrensburg, town and Horkin for bookkeeping services. 3 days a week, Warrensburg, the bookkeeper, 2 days a week in Horkin. The date of the agreement is January 1, 2023, and I just neglected to bring it to the town board. So if somebody would make a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Rich. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Brian to amend the agreement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried. Then the two, I have to recuse myself from both of these, but I'll read them. I won't vote on them. The fire company would like permission to use the recreation field from July 24th to July 30th for the Smoky Industry Jamboree. That's the 60th year. And then the fire company is asking for the $500 help with the fireworks show, and that would come out of the celebration. So
So
somebody,
moved on both.
motion by Rich,
Second.
second by John. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I recuse myself.
Maybe people could bring along a pocket full of grub eggs. Just drop it out.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Can I ask you a question? The fireworks display is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Always is every year.
Yeah.
It's only $500 for that display?
No.
Okay, so.
We have a lot of sponsors.
Okay,
So we,
so us that contribute and everything that brings it all up.
That's
Okay.
yes. And 60th year, we have some, I think a couple ground displays we're going to include in it, like we did when we came back. You know, we did a ground display, said, welcome back to the public. They really like that. We'll probably have something, and yeah, they mount up. We're lucky to have the same company that's been doing it year after year. They send the same people to fire them off, and I think that's why we have such a good show. We're fortunate, but it does cost, and we're working at it. We have great community support. Request from Chamber of Commerce to use town properties for world's largest garage sale. And the sale is the 29th through October 2nd this year. The properties are 3797 Main Street, this town hall, and the Richard Avenue parking lot.
So,
So we would make it?
Yeah.
Brian?
yes.
Second.
Second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, what do we got next? Oh, yes. Couple years ago, we sold some of the watershed property off, and we declared the property as surplus to the town. We put a bid out for somebody to buy some of the property, and the bids didn't come back where they were. So we haven't really moved. I think we've sold off one little chunk of property. I have a developer that's been coming in asking about town property. So we obviously, we sent him in to look at some of the lots on the watershed property. So what I'd like permission to do is, if it's okay with the board, I asked the assessor to give us an idea of what he thought the property was worth per acre. So now we have an idea where we could ballpark anybody who wants to do it, and we may put an RFP out to see if we can sell it. It's just, now understand, just because we put an RFP out and somebody comes back and offers us some money, doesn't mean we're gonna sell that property off. And anytime we sell that property, it's subject to permissive referendum anyway. So I just like permission, when the developer comes back, say, okay, we have a ballpark price. And if you're willing to work with us on that ballpark, well, we still have to put it out for bids. So do I have your permission to move ahead with that?
Yes.
And he came up with about $550 an acre. That may be a little light.
I noted that like you're discounting because the logging was done, but I'll tell you guys this, the logging opened it up so that
Yeah.
you can see so much better. So a developer that go look at it now is gonna actually look at an increased value, I
Yeah.
would think.
I agree with you.
So it's a
And
pretty,
if we have property owners that want to buy some of it, we can, at least we can establish what we think is a competitive price.
Mhm.
So we'll see where it goes. So you're okay with that? We'll move ahead with that.
Yes.
Resolution request to ask Labella to apply for a consolidated funding application in the amount of $70,000 for smart growth community planning and zoning grant. The town of Warrensburg commits $8,000 towards this project as it's specified in the grant application. This is a CFA consolidated funding. This is planning and zoning grant. It's just piggybacks on what we're doing with the comprehensive plan. And we're going to try to move ahead with this. If we're successful in getting this grant money, it'll give us an idea where we can finish planning what we want to see in the community in the future. So a motion to approve? Rich?
Second, Kevin.
John?
Yes, sir.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. One of the things with all these grants and everything you do, they always want you to have the planning done. If you have the planning done, you're more apt to see if you have a bigger project work. And Rich, you could tell, that's what you guys have been trying to do all along. And so we're hoping we can do this. Which leads me into the comprehensive plan meeting Tuesday. That would be next Tuesday, the 20th at the firehouse again. And I would ask everybody to try to come and make your views known towards this planning, the master plan for the town. We've had back and forth discussions on how we think Warrensburg should look in the future. I have my views. People on the master plan have their views. I think we're coming to a consensus. I think we need business on Main Street. I think Main Street should be our commercial place. There are other people that don't 100% agree with that, but I think we can come to a compromise. As I said at the last meeting, I did a unscientific study of assessments on Main Street. I took older places on Main Street, I added them up. It came to $1.8 million, $1.9 million. I took the two new businesses on Main Street, and they came up to $5.5 million of assessed value. And that's without the business being fully assessed. So business helps pay the bills, and we need to embrace businesses in our town. Had a meeting with Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board and Cedarwood Engineering to look in funding for a new drinking water. Well, that's one of the things that the Regional Planning Board does. They do help us apply for grant funding for a new well. And we've been studying, we have the location, and we're asking them to apply through USDA for a $40,000 engineering grant for a new well. So I need a motion to do that. John?
I'll second it.
Brian? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, now on the sludge. We talked a little bit about the sludge early on in the meeting. Because we can't take the sludge locally, we have to ship it out. We're going to be shipping it out to Seneca Meadows landfill in Waterloo, New York, or Englobe, located in Canada, our preferred disposal sites for this type of lagoon sludge. So they've asked for a $58,700 change order to the original grant, and it is not the bidder's fault. Something to do with the regulations the state of New York require, and that's why we were hoping to ship it down to Gansford, New York, but we can't send it there. So I need a motion to approve this change order.
So moved, Kevin.
John, second by Rich, and it's in the amount of $58,700. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. We talked about the summer rec program. The next one, I went to a summer AAT meeting. It's Adirondack Towns and Villages meeting held in Lake Placid last week. There was a lot of discussion on grant funding for water and wastewater projects, and a very good discussion on rural housing needs. I want to speak a little bit about the grant funding for wastewater projects. And Essex County Planning Department did an excellent job showing us a couple of wastewater projects they're trying to do up in Essex County. So if you take a small community that wants to do a water or wastewater project and say it's $4 million, and you only have 300 people in the community, and they're asked to shoulder the cost of that project, it comes out to be an astronomical cost, over $1,000 per resident to do that. It's prohibitive the way it's set up for these projects to go on. And they had a good slide, and I wish I could get a copy of it. The city of Albany can apply for $39 million a wastewater or water project. You divide that by the city of Albany's population, and it comes out to $11.50 per person to do the same project. We're disadvantaged up here in what we try to do with any project, because technically you're supposed to charge any project off to the group that it works for. So it was very telling, and we had some people, we're going to the state, we're going to show them this. The other thing I brought up during the discussion is, if we were to let our properties run down and we had a consent order against the town, say we didn't do anything with the lagoon, all the improvements we made over there in the last 8 years, say, and we just let it run down and we were violating our permit every month, well, you'd go to the top of the list to do something about it. But because we pride ourselves in making the changes to our wastewater treatment plant we have right along, or even our water plant. When I came in, the water was pretty shaky. And I think we've done a pretty darn good job straightening out the water around here with the thanks of Cedarwood Engineering. They've helped us a lot on that and the wastewater treatment plant. So we don't violate. And if we do violate our permit, we don't feel good about it. We notify the state right away. But they know we run good operations, wastewater and water. So we're at a disadvantage. I'll talk to our legislators about how they score these permits. I do think there's something to be said for doing it right. And every now and then you need a break, if you're doing it right. Now, we're spending $1 million on the hill to dredge the lagoons. It's considered maintenance. So it's not eligible for any grant funding, but we're doing it because it's the right thing to do, and our residents who are in the sewer system will pay it back. Those are just a couple of things. The housing one was really enlightening. Housing is an issue for everybody. I don't care what community you're in. Every community is suffering with housing for workers, housing to have people move in. They could talk a lot about a lot of different avenues. We had the school here last month. We know the enrollment's going down, and then it's tough to find housing in our community. But listening to what they've tried to do, these housing coalitions, they do a good job trying to find funding. There's not a lot of funding in the state budget for housing, but it's something we need to keep addressing. And it has to be good housing. It can't be substandard or low to moderate standard housing. We need developers come in and build reasonable housing in our community that people can afford to live in. So it's an issue all over. We'll keep putting pressure on Albany to put more funding towards housing. I believe we're at a little bit disadvantage because we're in the Adirondack Park because of restrictions that the Adirondack Park puts on how many places you can build within 42 acres or 8 acres. And, they want you to cluster development. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's not good. But my eyes keep getting open to this. And I think there's potential here in Warrensburg to do a little bit more. And we'll work with the EDC and the different committees to try to get it done. So, but it was it's probably one of the better AATV meetings I've been to. And the problems up north are the same problems we have here. But I think we've done a pretty good job with a lot of our problems. Obviously, our friends in short-term rental, that always comes up. But, I'm a proponent for short-term rentals. I think we improve our properties in our community when we've had these short-term rentals. Next up, the summer band concerts. They start on June 21st and they run for 13 weeks this year. So every Wednesday at the recreation field, we'll have another band concert, and then that will start next Wednesday, and they'll run for 13 weeks. Let's see, we have a couple budget modifications, if I can find them. The budget modifications, we're taking $25,000 out of appropriate fund balance and moving it into planning department, and that's to help pay for the balance of the comprehensive plan. We had planned on doing it this way. The comprehensive plan bill is around $70,000. So we've been transferring money in. That's one of the transfers of the general fund. And the highway fund, the budget modification is, we received $14,637.45 in insurance recovery for a truck that was damaged when a tree came down and hit it. And then we also sold some old equipment in the highway department, and we received $7,696.01 for the sale of the old chipper. So those are the budget modifications. If somebody wants to make a motion to approve all three,
So moved.
John?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Brian, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. We have a budget transfer. We're taking $1,000 from sources. This is a water district, sources supply part-timer, and we're moving into purification part-time. It's just a different budget code. It's the same part-time to part-time, but we had to make the transfer an amount of $1,000. And then we're taking $315.14 transferring from transmission and distribution contractual, and we're putting into bond anticipated no interest for $315.14. So if somebody want to make a motion to approve those transfers.
So moved.
Rich,
Second.
John, discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. The state did come through with a grant money for the water line. We've got partial payment on the project where we put the new 12-inch line in from the tank down to our water system. And so we're happy about that. And we will be completing and the cleanup on that project will be done before the end of June. We've got some housekeeping to do there. The warrants for tonight are $219,906.98. And the biggest portion of that is the sludge removal expense of $58,545, and then $40,123 in the general fund, and $76,000 in the highway fund where we're starting to do our paving project. So motion to approve warrant number 6.
I'll make that motion.
Rich,
Second.
second. Discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. No, nobody opposed. Any comments from the audience tonight? Anybody wish, any question? Please step up to the mic, tell us your name, and ask us any question we'd like.
Couple questions, you already nailed one. Gary Cooper, Warrensburg. Talked about 60 Lake Avenue. We've been going over that for Dan Roberts' place. We've been dealing with that piece of property for well over 2 years.
Mhm.
I don't understand why we haven't went in there, our town, and cleaned it up, removed the boat, and removed the debris, and cleaned up the yard and put everything on the taxes of the owner, which I know the owner. We've been going 2 years, around and around and around. That should have been taken care of, because you're talking pieces of property over there are worth $200,000-$300,000. Just saying. The other one is, and this is really interesting, is the comprehensive plan. $70,000, can you explain that? That's to pay
The consultant,
the consultant $70,000. Is this an annual or
not one time,
one-time fee for how long?
for as long as it takes them to complete the report.
And what did we pay 20 years ago that, I was at the elementary school because 20 years ago, it's the same comprehensive plan.
It was like 106,000, but it was over 100 grand for that one, I think.
And and I'm on the comprehensive plan, but I haven't been there because it seems to be quite confusing on what they're trying to do to our main street. I'll be there on the 20th though. The comprehensive plan, what have they accomplished in the last year for Warrensburg to bring business in that our town board members can tell the 2, 4, 6 people here this evening for $70,000?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to make their meetings, so.
Thank you.
Well, they haven't had any, as far as bringing businesses in. We got-
Let's talk 2 years.
Exactly. Businesses are coming. But to stifle, well, like Kevin said earlier, to stifle businesses is what I don't want, and several of us, we want to see businesses, properties open up. With architectural concerns, we understand that moving forward, but it's, and so they're really on the same page, a lot of the Lobella's on the same page with the majority, I think, with, they know what we want.
Right, but they knew what we want. They knew what we wanted as well as you and I met at the elementary school 20, 25 years ago. And we don't seem to be moving ahead and we just keep writing out these checks. I'm okay with comprehensive plan and moving forward, but if you don't see a result, why are we doing this? Why is this community spending the money that's not taking place? It's just like solar. When I heard about it, I went to Oneida to their solar farm. Because if you have solar at our landfill, it's going to bring in more green energy building. People with green energy is going to come into your community. I went to 2 communities in the last month after I heard this. I drove away and I had to go down there and spoke to the townspeople in Oneida and everything else where green energy is going great. No, there's not one job, not one business that even came in to that community because of their solar farm. So I want to bring that, I'm just concerned of a comprehensive plan.
Well,
We're writing out the check.
I'd like to talk a little bit
Okay.
to the comp plan. I haven't been there, but I've been listening. So I met with Labella and I did my unscientific study of the places on Main Street because I hear the rumblings coming out of the meetings that, you know, there's still a group that want to maintain the historical value of the homes. And I'm all for that.
Correct.
Unfortunately, the historical value of some of our places on Main Street has deteriorated so much that you'd have to have somebody come in who have a lot of money willing to, that was a passion of theirs to restore these properties. I also heard that they wanted to do some, what do you call that, John? They had a name for it where they wanted to put some, maybe potentially look for business on King Street. So I took a ride on King Street. What do you call it?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. It's-
Overlap.
Yeah,
Overlap district.
overlay.
So I drove up King Street and drove up King Street for Emerson. It's all homes. So I can't really see where you would overlap a business on King Street. Why would we be wasting a lot of energy on that? I want to see, you know, I don't care what you call it, as long as we make it so somebody can develop, come to us and we can have a pretty good say and have them develop a business. We need business. Business, what help pays the bills. And you know, we've had this discussion, I think, and then we look at Elm Street. You know, I have some stately homes on Elm Street. Look, when I grew up here, there was doctor's office. And on Elm Street, there's a doctor's office on Hudson Street. They're no longer, you know, we have a couple. So I think, you know, that's why I'm going to go and voice my opinion. You know, I'm not a math major, but I do know that business pays a lot of the bills. And as long as they're done decently and with appropriate planning, we should be okay. You know, I think I do go by the Dollar General down there. I see a lot of cars in that parking lot.
Talking about Dollar General, Gary Cooper, Warrensburg, why was it not built to what the planning board approved?
Well, the only thing I know that wasn't done with it was the wall. That's all I know. Now, he has been back and we have the items picked out that he needs to complete. And I checked with our planning office and they've met with him. I think he was back in, he's starting to take care of those items. And, it's enforcement of our planning office. They need to step up and make sure that the developer does exactly what the drawings say. The only thing that I didn't agree with was the wall. Because the wall didn't make sense in the wintertime when you're trying to plow the sidewalks and you got a wall, where are you gonna put the snow? The other thing was, late in the year, we got DOT back up there to look at the entranceway. And I think you came that day and John was there, and we all looked at that entranceway and said, this is not right. And we convinced DOT, because sometimes DOT will put things in that don't make sense. And I don't know if they were involved in what they had as far as the entranceway to that building there. But you can see what happened to our Main Street. It just hasn't worked.
They had a bump out, which the bump out was ridiculous. So when they were smart and said, you're right, take the bump out, and it was, at least it got some egress and entrance there now. So.
Yeah. Any other things that aren't being done, I would take it back to our planning department and say, what's going on with this? But I know Mr. Mioli has been back once, and as far as I'm concerned, he said, I'm gonna build it this way, this is gonna look that way, it needs to look that way. That's what was approved. The only thing I didn't agree with the well, and the highway superintendent didn't agree with it, so he wrote a letter, and the wall won't go back.
They removed it.
Yeah. It was poorly built anyways. So that's what I know about it. But you should take your concerns to the back. And they have a drawing that they have done. Did you back look at it? They have the drawing and all the things that weren't needed to be done need to be taken care of. And that's on our planning department and our enforcement to do that. So, but the master plan, I would say, please come, share your thoughts. I know it can be frustrating. I think it was frustrating for some of us to hear what was coming out of the meetings, and we said, enough. Let's get Warrensburg back on track the right way. So,
If I may.
just go ahead, Rich.
One of the most important things a community can work on is the codes that are on the books. And you cannot address changing any of the codes until you evaluate your comprehensive plan and make sure that that's going in the direction that you want it to go. And then you reevaluate the codes one by one to make sure that they're in like step with the comprehensive plan. So when it comes to paying somebody a larger sum of money, Labella in this particular case, I'm okay with that because they are addressing each individual issue. I'm not on the main board that's doing the comprehensive plan, but I have been invited to and attended the meetings that I've been available for, and have been offered an opportunity to speak my thoughts. And I think that's enough said about the comprehensive plan, but I'd like to share with you a bit of information that came from the EDC survey we did about a year ago. That was done on the behalf of the community. It was mailed out so that many people could participate. And one of the most interesting things that I found, we asked, where do you want to see Warrensburg grow? I think we're at about, I think it's safe to say 4,000 people. I believe it's a little bit less right now. And we asked people, do you want to see it grow to 4,500 people? Do you want to see it go to 5,000 or 10,000 people? Or whatever the particular question stated. I was really amazed that the community doesn't want to see any major growth. If it went from 4,000 to 4,500 and no more, the community would be very happy with that, and based on the survey that we put out. So when you look at that, and then you go to a comprehensive meeting, it's important to try to hear the community, and at the same point in time, voice an opinion that reflects what the community wants. Thank you.
I appreciate, Mr. Larkin, what you're saying in regards to the comprehensive plan, but this is my question. How can you feel that we are okay with paying $70,000 for comprehensive plan.
I'm okay with it because it only
Without
takes,
seeing a result in the last 2 years. What is the result in the last 2 years? And we're just.
the result
giving out
is,
money.
Gary, the people are meeting, there's an agenda that's followed, and progress is being made. And if you said you'd be there on the 20th,
Oh, yeah.
I think that you'll find that there has been progress made, and they're working toward an end, which we will all see this year.
Okay, I hope so, because I built personally 12 homes in this community. And out of the 12 homes, brand new homes, only one home accommodates children. All the other ones were retired adults buying the homes. So if we're moving forward to bring in population, when I moved into the community in 1991, we had a population somewhere around 5,100 people, which was great. And now we're below 4,000. Someone needs to tell us what the hell's going on, why we cannot bring families in here. Is it our town
Airbnbs
taxes?
is a
I don't
part of it.
believe so. I don't believe it's their town taxes. I believe, because my son lives in Lake George, and I tried to sell him 9 homes in Warrensburg when he came back to live in Warrensburg. It was much cheaper for him to buy an identical home in Lake George with $2,000 less a year in taxes. And that's school taxes. And this is not the place to talk about school taxes. It has to be taught and talked about and addressed in the school. But for us, it's right out of check, the comprehensive plan, Lavella, without a result in the last 2 years.
You've been, excuse me,
Yeah, go.
I have
You've
not
been-
been to any one of the meetings, but I'm reading all the results.
Gary, as you know, this line of work takes time. And Mr. Garrity was completely accurate when he stated that the Main Street or wherever else in the town that we can locate businesses is important. I support him with that type of a goal. And then by having a comprehensive plan done, you know better where you can accommodate these circumstances and bring people on board. We're talking, housing has been a major issue in every community in Warren County. And we've identified the watershed property on Harrington Hill, the Crossroads, and Alden Avenue. And the board is now moving forward to make it possible to get to a point where we can bring in developers and make that happen for our community. So
I'm not disagreeing with you, Mr. Larkin, but I'm just going back 20 years ago when the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, well, that comprehensive plan also said we needed to readdress that. It's 10 years later, and it's been 20 years later.
And
We
now
didn't do it 10 years ago,
20
so.
years later,
But there is movement. There is value in what we're doing, Gary. It really is.
I'm sure there is, but where's the result for the townspeople and the taxpayer to see it?
A little,
I'm not talking about the trash cans and
We know.
the benches and stuff. I'm talking about what are they doing?
what we're
I
doing,
have one question to ask and I'm done. Lavella, have they started at the bridge and walked up our main street
Oh, yes.
with our councilmen and women, with our townspeople to address everything all the way up to the landfill? Have they done that?
Over the years when it was chasing and stuff, several times.
They've done it, and they've done it on the Main Street grant to try, they walked it. In fact, didn't you walk it?
We
with Jim and them, they
Jim and I
walked,
walked
they
with them.
walked it on the Main Street
Yep.
to.
We got that one grant for the highway building out of it, just because we
Yeah.
took them around and
They
showed
have-
what our
that's one of
needs
the,
were.
Kevin touched on it earlier, but having that comprehensive plan, keeping it updated, even though we're having to write a check for 70 grand, just think about all the grants that we've gotten
Exactly.
over
Yeah.
the years because
You gotta have a plan.
we've played their game. Now the idea that we're being penalized for being proactive in our town for the things that we've done to, for ourselves without waiting for grant monies, that almost on a smaller scale, that's the same thing you and I have had a discussion about. People with this revale coming around are feeling like, geez, I've kept my home up. I feel like I'm going to be penalized, punished for keeping a nice property when a rundown property is. So there's an equitable solution there. There's got to be, but that's keeping that comprehensive plan up is imperative to future grants coming in.
And one other thing too, we tried to expand our hamlet. We made an attempt to expand our hamlet. We took it upon ourselves to go to 2 different areas to expand our hamlet. We were turned down by the park agency. Part of it could have been political. A lot of it was along the property out River Street. Now, they did change the zoning classification, but they didn't go far enough. We've talked about going down Library Avenue out to Jenny Jill, beyond on the other side of the dam, on this side of the dam. We have a developer down there who's willing to build homes down there if we can get water sewer down there. It's tough for us to, we've been trying to get the money. That's why we do these engineering studies. We've had an engineering study. We may hit a home run. If I could get that reclassified to Hamlet, say, it may allow us to start seeing some homes built down there by the one developer. There is still a little bit of the stigma of dealing with the park agency. They were getting better. I can't say that, I felt very good about our lots on Main Street, what I thought was a no-brainer for the park agency. And I've had that conversation, and they've tried to get me to go back and reapply to expand the Hamlet up Main Street for a couple of spots. I'd like to see us do Library Avenue because there is an opportunity down there beyond Jenny Jill where it goes down to get 12 new homes built down there. And we keep working on that. We keep working on a lot of stuff. It's slow. You ask, I need to address 60 Lake Avenue. When we're dealing with these properties, it's not as easy as saying, yep, we have to find who owns it. We have to go after the homeowner. You have to give them due process. You have to have hearings. They come into court. Sometimes they come into town court, they don't show up, and then it's adjourned for 2 weeks, and it takes time. And we are working on that property, and we also know that there's a family and there's children involved there. So it's a little more. There's a couple of school age or 3 school age people who live in that community. So we have to be cognizant of that yet also. But yeah, does it take time? Sure. We know our other eyesore down there on the river that we've been talking about for a year. Actually 2 years. It's taking time, and it all takes time. And I know sometimes government does not move fast. And those properties, although I think we've been pretty successful, the one up on Schooner River Road was 2 years in the making, but now it's finally being taken care of. But it was a hard thing when you don't know the owner or the owner is incapacitated in some way, then you have to find a power of attorney. It all takes time. And yes, it would be nice, but we can't always go on people's properties and just clean them up and put it on their taxes. It's not as simple as that. We have to give notice. And when we have an absentee landlord, we have to chase them down. The one property on King Street, I believe, is a California company. And then you have to reach out to them and say, by the way, it's wide open. They're happy. The Main Street property, I think really that one Main Street property up there, I think they've gone inside and stripped the building inside. I don't know how much it would be worth. Yeah. And then of course we have the one across from the health center. The landlord is from New Jersey, I believe. He was in. I looked at it again today and I say, man, what are we missing here? That's not the nicest looking property on our Main Street, but it takes us time to get them to see it the same way you or I may see it. And trust me, there's a lot of people who come in here that make complaints to our code, and then it takes some time. It takes time. So I hear you. The master plan, I do believe we're there, Gary. I think they had a lot of discussion. And I think a lot of the discussion, as far as I'm concerned, may have been good. It doesn't work for me. But what works for me is getting businesses in and making sure that everybody is proud of this community, like we are. So we're just going to keep working on it. But I thank for your comments and show up Tuesday night, please. Show up. They entice you with food from Oscar's, so. If not, at least have a bologna sandwich. Okay. Anybody else got anything to say tonight? Anything? Nothing?
Just quickly, Kevin,
Yes.
just hats off to high school junior Brady Cheney, Player of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
big deal. He
Yes.
was Incredible, the ERA for pitching and then batting is, he's the real deal. So hats off to him. He was awarded Player of the Year at the Adirondack League Baseball. So it's good for him.
Yep, Brady, our 2 West Point candidates.
Yep.
We're very fortunate, a boy and a girl going to West Point.
Yes, they
I
are.
think that's the first time for us, and
Great.
got a lot of good kids, and the school is my friend. Really, they are. And I know everybody. After our last meeting, I got a call from a constituent, was pretty upset about some of the comments made about the school system in our town board meeting. I said, well, I told them to go to the school board. And, it's been around, things have changed. I don't understand everything they have. You can ask Miss Oliver there. She's on the school board, so she's the one to vet your complaints to right there. She's within
Go
reach.
after her.
Kevin,
Yes, go ahead, Rich.
Well, we talk about the blighted properties in Warrensburg. It's really nice to see the Emerson House being worked on. I know that work is taking place on the inside of the building. And the house next door is getting all new siding on it at this point. Bob and Charlene are wonderful caretakers of that, and it's nice to see that. So there are others going on in throughout the community. We just they're not on Main Street for everybody to see.
Well, my wife and I both know both the owners of those properties.
Nice people.
They, very nice people, and they kind of talk to us in regards to what we owned on Hudson Street, and where we went with that, and they're doing things, so.
Yeah, it takes time.
It takes time, it takes money, and it takes
Lots of money.
patience.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
I'd also like to make one other comment about the lack of applications for the planning board and the zoning board.
Yeah.
I've had an interest in several other communities recently, so I visited the planning boards in Bolton, in Lake George, and one a little further away. It's not even in Warren County. And I found them to be very interesting. And I might suggest that on all these months that we do not have planning board meetings, perhaps we can invite those who would like to participate on our planning board or zoning board to go to another community
Sure.
and just observe and see what they might gain.
Right.
Thank you.
One thing I'll make, because every month I read that report that says the planning board and zoning board will not have meetings this month. That's not because things aren't happening. It's because we've streamlined our process back here so that, and empowered those people so that we don't make them, applicants come in for every little
Right.
thing like they used to.
That's right.
Used to be every little site plan review and thing had to come in. And we kind of changed our policy so that businesses can come and go and we're open for business. And that's our slogan. So there's nothing big that doesn't fit in the box that has to come in front of the board. So things are moving. It's just, they don't have to come through an approval,
Anybody else? Okay, that
Motion
being
to
said,
adjourn.
motion adjourned, 8:15. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Good discussion.
The date, did that?
He came
Lights are
back
off.
and then